In this video, we are going to deep dive into n8n. We are going to explore some definition and concepts so we can get familiar with it. We are going to practice with the real-world application such as customer support, how to add data with n8n form, and finally we are going to build a RAG agent. Without further ado, let's get started. Now we are on the n8n cloud. Just make sure you log in with your own account. And now we are on this interface. So we have workflows, credentials, execution, data table. On the workflows, here will be listed all our own workflows, credentials, which is all the credentials, the API token, etc. Here our past execution, as you can see all my execution here. And this is status, where it started, and this is data table. Think of it like a database, our own database that we can use on our own workflow. So let's just create a workflow. All right, so here we are on the editor. If we want to see the execution, we can click on execution. As you can see, there is none because it's a new workflow. And here is the evaluation. So once we finished our entire workflow, we can choose to put it on activated, so it will be on production environment. And just make sure you from time to time click save so that your data will be saved and won't be lost. One thing that I recommend is to click on this menu, click on, just let me add something here. Okay, all right, so let me just, I want to add the setting, save. So if I click on the setting, just make sure you choose the correct time zone where you want to work. Okay, my time zone is Africa Casablanca, and click save. And this is critical if you want to use date like scheduling, etc. So it's very important. All right, so let me remove this. All right, so now we can choose to create our first step on the workflow, or we can build with AI. So we can just chat with it and start building. We are going to create first step. And now you will see the sidebar where we can search nodes. Basically, nodes are, think of it like an operation. Every node has its own action, something to do, like a process that needs to be executed. And there are two types. There is a regular node where regular work, okay, like send data to cheat, receive a message, etc. And there is a trigger. Trigger is basically the first step on every workflow. So as you can see, I have to choose a trigger, which means I have to choose something to trigger my workflow. So we can choose trigger manually, which is basically whenever I click on execute workflow, and once I clicked on it, you will see if the workflow executed successfully, you will see I have this green border with the markdown here. If I inspect it two times, if I click it two times, you will see this output, which is on JSON format. JSON is very important in n8n because that's the data that will be flowed between the nodes. Okay, so whenever this have done its operation, the output will be sent to the next node, and the following node will use that data to do whatever, and then produce another output to the next node, so on so forth until the finish of the workflow. So we have many type of triggers. We can choose trigger manually, and this one is great if you are on testing. And this is an app event. When you want to use an existing or third-party tools like Google Sheet, Google Drive, for example, when you add a new file to Google Drive, when you add a new row to Google Sheet, when you receive a message from WhatsApp, that's a trigger because it's an event. If I click on app event, you will see all the application we can connect to it. Right, so here is Google Sheet. If I click on it, you will see the triggers on row added, which means when we add a new row, when we update it, or when we add it or update it, etc. And here are the action, which are the regular nodes. They are not triggers, but instead there are an actions. Now let's explore a simple trigger. Let me click on add first step, and let me click on app event, and let's search for Google Sheets, for example, and let's search for on row added. All right, for every node, whether it's a trigger or a regular node, it has some configuration. You will see all the input that we need to fill in. Here we have a credentials, which are my credentials, the account of Google Sheet that we want to use. Just click on this, click add new credentials. You will see sign in with Google. All right, all you have to do is sign in with your own Google account and you're ready to go. Close. Once you have connected to your Google account, on the mode you will see the repetitive time that we want to check, whether it's every minute, every hour, every day, etc. In our case, I'm going to leave it on every minute. So every minute we're going to check our account if something had happened. Okay, so document, which is to check the document. So I'm going to go to docs and create a new sheet. All right, so I've created this sheet. There is a topic and tags, just an example. Let's go back to our workflow, and on document, let me choose document, my post to social. Make sure it's the same. If you don't see it, just make sure you connect it to the right account if you have many Gmails. And on the sheet, just choose the first sheet, and here you will choose the events that you want to listen to. We have 3 events, like a row added, updated, both added or updated. In our case, we are going to keep it on row added, right? Which means whenever I add a new row. So what I'm going to do is we are going to click on this fetch test event. And once I click on it, all it will do is it will go and see if there is something happening. In our case, there is nothing. So let me just add new data. Let's say real estate, right? And tags, let's say real estate, right? So let me click on fetch test event, and you will see we have a new output. So this is a JSON format. It starts with square brackets and inside of curly brackets. And inside of curly brackets, you will see the data. If you're not comfortable with JSON, just head over to schema and you will see in a great way to read it. So we have real estate and tags, which are basically the new row that we have been added, right? So let's say row updated. Let's fetch test event. All right, we got this one. So let's update it. Let's say real estate 1. Real estate 1. And let's click fetch test event. And there we go, we got the new data. So this is a simple trigger. Also, there is another type of trigger, which is schedule trigger, which is a date. It will be triggered specific time. So we have a trigger intervals, whether we want days, weeks, month. Let's set up, for example, a minute, and here you will choose the minutes between the trigger. Let's say 1 minute, and it will be executed for every minute, right? And this will works good if we put it on production environment. So let me add let's say 2 minutes, right? And let me put it on live mode, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to execution, and as you can see it's 1:31. So after a while we should see it execute here with the time. Okay, so let me just refresh if you don't see it. Right now it's 32. Just wait for it, and here we go, we got it. So let me click on it. We can inspect it and debug um the work, the execution, and you will see the date and the time that we want. We set 2 minutes. Also, if you want this to be on your own editor, because you can see there is nothing here, there is no data, like past execution, you can just click copy to editor and your data will be copied here. You will see the output of the time. Another trigger that I would like you to know, which is on chat messages. This is great trigger to use if you want to work with the chatbots. So what this does is all you can do, just click open chat, then you can hit your messages, hi, and then you will see it has been executed. And if we click on it, you will see on the chat input that there is my message, hi. So let's say um hi, how are you? If I hit enter and let me inspect it, they should see on the chat input, hi, how are you? The next things we want to discuss is HTTP request. So just click on a plus. We are going to add new node, search for HTTP request, and here we go. If you don't know what an HTTP request means, basically whenever you are browsing the internet, you are making an HTTP request. But there are many methods available on HTTP request. There is get, delete, option, head, patch, post, put. Let me explain. If you go to google.com, right, the moment you refresh, you are making a get request. Okay, if you enter your query here, you are making a get request because essentially you are saying, hey, I need this data. When you go to YouTube and all the videos popped up, that's a get request because you are requesting videos to be shown to your feed. If you are uploading a video on YouTube, that's POT request. If you are adding a new note to your Notes app, that's a post request. Once you delete a specific item on your YouTube or Notes, that's delete request. And here we have all the method. This is very important in n8n, and it will be very easy for you to understand the platform once you understand this type of nodes, which is HTTP request. Okay, so let's make an example. Let's go to this website where we can make HTTP request example. All right, so let me, so don't worry about all this code. It's just JavaScript. If you don't know JavaScript, it's okay. Don't worry about it. What we want to do is we want to make an HTTP request. So we have the here get, we have post, we have bot. Okay, so let's say we want to fetch a list of users. Okay, so let's say this is our own. Let's say we want to access this website and access the list of users. So I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this URL. Okay, if I go to the URL, you will say missing API key, which means we need the API key. Let me copy this. Let's paste it on the URL. Okay, and let's keep it get request, and we are going to enable send headers because it's an API. So I'm going to name it X API. Okay, all right, so we need to put the value. You can just, here is the value. All right, and let me click on execute step, and once I click on execute step, here we got all the data we need. So we got support, got some metadata, we got some, and here is the first user, for example this email, this is the second user, this is the third user, fourth, and so on and so forth. And then we can use this data to do or to create our own application or whatever. Let's say we want to add to this database, we want to add a new user. Well, we are going to go back here and search for post, and you will see we have create a new user. It's the same URL, just to verify, paste the same URL, and then the method which is post. So let me choose this to post, and you will see the same API key. Yes, we already have the API key, but here you will see we have this body. So all I have to do is scroll down and enable this send body, okay, which means data. I'm going to leave everything as it is. You will need the name and its value, and you will see I have name, which is John Doe, and job. So that's all I need. I need a name, okay, and I can add another parameter which is job. Okay, let's say Jack, that's the name. Job, let's say machine learning engineer. All right, that's all we need. Let me execute step, and there we go. Node executes successfully, and we get back the data. So if I if I read the data and see if there is any, let me choose this to post. I have Jack machine learning engineer. Not sure if we will get it here, because this is not the full data. This is just a part of the data. Yeah, it's not here. I think we can actually use some pagination like this. We can choose the number of pages. All right, so let me say page equal to 2. Yes, here we go. So we got the second page. All right, we can get the third page, etc. Basically, that's an HTTP request. The next things we want to discuss is the webhook. Webhook basically means a server that is listening once you are making a GET request to it. So as you can see, they give you this URL and test URL and production URL. So the difference between the URLs is this one will be used for test URL, for testing, and this is for production. I will show you the difference. If I click on list for test event, they give you this URL, which is basically the same as the test URL. And once I visited it, which is a GET request, you will see this message, workflow was started. If I visit it, you will see that the workflow has been executed. So let's say we want to use the production one. So let me copy it. If I go, I visit it, the request webhook is not registered. So let's say list for test event. We are getting the same error. And the reason why is because we haven't activated the workflow yet. This is just a testing environment. To activate it, click save. And let me click on activated. Let's go to execution. And as you can see, it's 158. And let me go and visit this. And there we go. This is the same URL as the production one. Workflow was started. And after a while, we should see the workflow or the execution. All right, perfect. One of the ways to use the webhook is basically to take this production URL and paste it to the third party that you want to use. So let's say you have a Facebook application. You can just go to the Facebook and paste this URL as a webhook. So whenever something happens on your own application on Facebook, Facebook do have a webhook there where you can set up. You can just paste your production URL or test URL if you're testing, and once an event is triggered, the entire workflow will be triggered. Right, welcome back again. We have explored a bunch of concepts regarding n8n. Now it's time to practice. We are going to build our first application. What we want to build in this video is a form where I can enter some user details such as email, phone number, name, and then we want to add it to our database. So let's get started. So I will add the first step, search for n8n form. Okay, we are going to use a pre-built-in form and select this trigger. Okay, here we are going to customize our own form. So we can enter the title. So let's say user details, and the description fill the user info, and here we can add a form element. So I'm going to add name. On the element type, I'm going to leave it on text. Placeholder, let's say enter your name here, and it is a required field. If it is not, you can feel free to disable this. And add the next one, email. In the element type, it will be an email. Okay, and enter your email. And yes, it is required field. And last one, phone number. Okay, and make sure element type is a number. Enter your phone number. All right, and it is required field. So let me just back to canvas. Let me zoom out. Okay, just make sure to save. And let's execute this workflow. And there we go. We'll see a bunch of inputs that we can fill in. And they can just click submit, form submitted. And there we go. We got all the information. All right, so what I want to do next is I want to take this information and insert them to our database. There are many ways we can do this. You can feel free to use any database. In our example, I'm going to use the data table from n8n. Just get back to the working environment, go to data tables and click create data tables. Let's call it users, create, and here we can add columns, say name. I'm going to leave it on string, email, string as well. And last but not least, you can add columns as well here. Phone number, I'm just going to leave it as number. And don't type, make sure it is a number. Click add column. All right, we're done. So what I want to do is I want to add the data to the database. So just click add new node, search for data table, click on data table, and you will see we have a bunch of actions here. Delete row, get row, etc. We want to insert row. Okay, and here we can choose the data table and it should pop up. If you don't see the data table, just start writing the name of it and it should appear here. And here we will see all the values that we need to be inserted into the database. So what I want is the name, email, phone number. All right, so how do we get the details that we have filled in here into here? If we inspect this one, you will see on the left that there are some nodes that can be an input for this node. And basically this will list all the nodes that have run before this one. In our case, it is this form. Okay, and for each node, you will see its own output, what it has output once it has executed. And you can see we have all the name, phone number submitted, basically the output of the form. So what I want to do is I want to take this name, place it here, do the same. There are many ways you can do this, but the easiest way is just drag and drop it. That's it. And it should write down the code by default. Phone number. All right. Just drag and drop it. And there we go. If I click execute step, I don't want to execute everything from scratch. We should see that the data returned. And if we refresh, we should see the row has been inserted into the database. There we go. It's my mail, phone number, and created ad, updated ad. All right, perfect. All right, what I want to do is if I execute this again and I enter the same details, you will see that those same details have been added again. So they are duplicated. Say the same email, same phone number. What I want to do is I want to check if this data that we have entered before we have inserted into database is already in the database. So what I'm gonna do is I want to remove this, and before this I can add search for data table and then check if row does not exist. Okay, and here we can choose the data table, and here the condition. You can set whether it's any condition, which means whenever one of these condition met, or if it is necessary that all the condition must met, we can just select all condition. So here we'll choose name. If the name, if this name from the form already does not exist, and email also, and last but not least, phone number. All right, and on this here, what I want to do is all condition, because all this data must met. Okay, which means if there is just this name, well, I don't want it to be added. Okay, so let me execute step. All right, you will see that this data does not exist. That's why we don't see any output. All right, so let me repeat this again. I'm going to add the same. Okay, I just want to check on the same email. Okay, so let me click submit. Form submitted, and as you can see that we haven't executed this. All right, let me refresh. It's the same one, so there is no data. So let me add new data this time, which is different. Some arbitrary phone number. I don't know. Another name. Submit. And there we go. We should see that it has inserted. If I refresh, we should see the data has been added to the database. All right. So what I want to do is if data does not exist, we can add it. Otherwise, we want to inform it, hey, the information that you have entered already in the database. So what I want to do, I want to add another node. Search for data table. We have if row exists. I'm going to choose the same. I'm going to choose name, drag and drop, email as well, and phone number. So this one will be executed and it will output if it's already exists. In our case, it's already exists. See, and there we go, has been executed because it's already exists. So what I want to do is I want to submit like a form at the end that telling, hey, the user already exists. So I'm just going to add it here, search for n8n form, and you will see we have form ending. You can add error, user already exists. Okay, so I can just execute steps so that I can see. You will see error, user already exists. All right. Also here, once the data executed, I want to add form ending to let that, hey, everything is executed successfully. And just say finished, user added with success. So let's say form end, execute it, right? All right, so let me execute this from scratch. Let's see what happened. All right. Error, user already exists. Perfect. If I execute it, but this time that there is no like totally different data, say Michael, Michael, some arbitrary email, and let's say another phone number, and then just click submit. Should see user added with success, and if I refresh, I should see the data has been added with success. Yeah, here we go. The next things we want to do is we are going to build a simple chatbot. So let's add the first step and let's add a trigger. I'm going to use on chat message, basic prompt in here. So I can just open it and say, hey, and just the messages go, right? All right, so the next things I want to do is I want to add a message model. All right, so we will go to the EI and you can add a bunch of models. You will see we have an EI agent. We will explore it later, but then we have a bunch of companies such as Anthropic, Google, Gemini, OpenAI. Let me search for OpenAI, and here we'll see we have a bunch of actions that we can use. So I'm just going to use message model. The credits will be set up here for free for n8n. If you want to add your own credits, just add your own API key. If you want to go to the API key, just go to platform, openai.com, account, API key, and just create a secret API. Give it a name, etc. and click create secret key, and then you will get the key that you can just copy and paste it here, and you're ready to go. In our case, I'm just going to work with this free OpenAI API credits. And here on the model, choose any model that you want. And here we will need a prompt. As you know, an AI model needs a prompt, like a message. I'm just going to say hi, execute step, and see what happened. And there we go. If I go to schema, you will see that I have content. Hello, how I can assist you today. So what I want to do is I want to replace it with my own messages, which is chat input. Okay, you will see that it has output, some actions, session ID, and then we got a chat input, which is hi. I'm just going to drag and drop it. All right, I should get the answer of hi. Hello, how can I assist you today? Perfect. And just talk to it. Just say, hi, how are you doing? All right, after a while, I have getting content. Hello, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How can I assist you today? All right, so let's say I want to add another model. Okay, this time I'm going to add Gemini. Go to message model. But Gemini is not for free, so I'm just gonna have to add the credits. All I have to do is API key, go to eistudio.com, google.com, API key, and you will get a free API. And just copy it. They give you a free API. If you don't get it, just click create API and give it a name. You're ready to go. Just going to paste it here. Click save. You should see this green answer that means connection tested successfully. And I will choose a model. Let me choose flashlight preview. On the prompt, I'm just going to say, hi, how are you? And let's see the output. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. I'm here to help you with whatever you want. So now we have two models. Let me just add these two models. All right. Now I have Gemini and I have OpenAI as well. Okay, so let me test this out. So say hi. Say create a post about real estate. All right, you will see the first one is message model from Gemini. All right, and here is the text. Here are a few options for real estate post. And if I go to the OpenAI, dreaming of perfect home, now time to make it reality, whether you're buying, selling, etc. All right, so this is basically just a message model, and this can be added to your automation. When you add this type of models to automation, it calls AI automation, not an AI agent. This is, I see a lot of confusion. When you are using just a message model like this, you are using an AI automation, not an AI agent. AI agent can do action by itself, can actually plan and do and perform actions. Okay, you give it a specific set of tools and it can choose which one to execute. And that's the next things we are going to do. Welcome back. Let's build an AI agent. So let's add a first trigger. Let's add on chat message, simple one. Okay, and then we can add AI and then AI agent. So as you can see, this one is slightly different than the normal message model. You will see that this AI agent has a chat model, which basically means which model they want to use. And here you will see all the models, DeepSeek chat models, Olama if you are running this locally, and OpenAI chat model. All right, I'm just going to leave this model as it is. And now we have set model. The next things you want to do is the memory. If you want it to remember past actions or past messages, you can just add memory, click simple memory, and you will need to add how many past actions or past messages you want to remember. For example, 5 instructions. And here is the session ID. You can just leave it as it is because we only are the one that connects you to it. If you have, for example, if you're connecting it to a WhatsApp messages, you will have to define it below. And the key here will be the number of the phone number of WhatsApp, for example, like a key to differentiate between memories or between the person that they are talking to. I'm just going to leave it on connected chat trigger node, etc. Okay, so this one will remember that. And here is where an actual AI agent do the magic, which is the tool. You give it a set of tools. It can be an HTTP request, it can be an MCP client, it can be anything. Okay, and based on your messages, it will see whether it has to execute or not. So let's work with data table. Okay, so what I want to do is insert. I'm going to choose the users that we have created earlier, and here you will see the name, email, number. But in our case, there is nothing has been executed, so let me just execute it and they will show you. So let's say hi. All right, it has been executed. As you can see, we got chat model and the simple memory, we've got 2. Why there are 2? Well, basically because my message and the messages of the AI. If I inspect the memory, you will see that this chat memory has 2 now. Okay, if I inspect the first one, which is a human message and the content is high, my messages. On the second one, it's an AI messages and the content is hello, how we can help you. Everything is already done for us. Perfect. Okay, you will see that this one did not execute. Why though? And the reason is because, well, my messages didn't say anything. Okay. All right, so let me go back to this tool and let's go back to this name, email, number. As you can see, my messages is high. Even if I say, let's say I actually said the phone number, name, say, I don't know, Michael, then email Michael at com. Okay, you will see it still didn't execute. Well, you have to fill in these details. So how can I get all these details into here? Well, you can just click on this to let the model or the AI do that for us because it's an AI agent. I'm just gonna click this, 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 and it will be filled with the AI. If I go back this time, and let me just go to my database and see if something had happened. So I'm just going to fill out the database. Let's remove everything. Okay, so let me add hi. You will see everything executed except this one because we don't need to. So let's say I want this one this time. Sorry. Add this to the database. Name is man, phone number is 01, and email is Michael. Let's see what happened. There we go. We should see that this has been executed. There is a green, and we should see we are getting some details here. Name, number, and this is coming from the AI. Okay, it's not actually coming from anything. It's coming from AI because the AI does that. That's the power of AI agent. This is the difference between AI agent and the normal messenger model or AI automation. Sorry, my mic had just dropped. So if we go to data tables and we refresh, we should see the data here. See, we've got name, phone number, etc. Perfect. So I'm going to add a bunch of tools since it can do whatever. I'm going to add update and see what it can do. So on the operation, I'm going to select get where I want to read any condition. So I'm just going to add condition. I'm going to add name and I can let the AI do it because I will ask you. I said, hey, give me check if the database has this name or has this email, and it will do that for us. And last one, which is a phone number. Okay, so let me test this out. Open chat. Get or check if database has name equal to, what is the name here? Outman. See what it answered us. And here we go. We'll see it has been executed. Git row, not the insert. Perfect. Let me just see the messages. Wait, okay. Yes, the database has an entry with the name Outman. Would you like me to see the details or do anything else? Yes. Let's check this time. As you can see, there is only Outman. So let's say Jack. Let's wait for it. And there is no entry with the name Jack in the database. Would you like to add or check for something else? Add Jack to the database. Could you please provide me the phone number and the email for the name Jack? As you can see, I didn't instruct it. I didn't set any system instructions. All I did is just I give it a tools and it knows that, hey, you need the name, phone number, email. So you'll see. Email is jack2 and phone number is 212 some brand arbitrary number. Now let's see if it added. The entry Jack with phone number has been added to the database. Is there anything else you would like me to do? I'm gonna refresh and we should see the entry. Perfect. Let me add one last tool, which is update. Okay, this time we're going to add update. Let's say we want to update and see what it can do. Sorry. So we can add a condition or I can just map which I want. So I'm just going to leave name, email, number, let the AI do it for us. Okay. Let me clean this and let's open chat. Update name of Jack to Jack. Jack Daniel. The updated name of Jack to Daniel. I need to confirm the current recall details just to verify the current phone number is and the email is. Right, this helps to ensure yes. I need to use the current record, and as you can see, we got an issue here. Update record, at least one condition is required. Oh, sorry, I have to add the conditions. So I can just add on the condition, I can add name, and I can also add all the conditions, which are the entries that we can add, and we can let the AI do it as well. Number as well, and I can just let it, and I can say any condition, of Let's do it again. um Let me repeat this and see what happened. All right, the name has been successfully updated from Jack to Jack Daniel in the database. So we got Jack. We should see Jack Daniel instead. Okay, that's perfect. All right, welcome back again. What I want to do next is I want to replace these chat messages to more sophisticated and more robust things. And what we want to do this time is Telegram. So let's remove this because it's not for production use, but Telegram is. We're going to add a new node, search for Telegram, and you will see we've got a bunch of triggers on callback query, on edited the channel post. I'm only interested in the messages because I wanted to execute once I receive a message. Okay, now we'll need to connect to credentials. Click create a new credentials, and we'll need access token. And for that, we'll have to create a bot. Let's go to Telegram, search for bots father, and click on this one. Make sure it has this blue mark. Click open. Okay, just click this start. And here you will see we have a lot of instructions. Click on this new bot and it will create a new bot. What are you going to call it? Please choose a name for your bot. Let's say n8n bot. Now let's choose a username and it has to end with bot. Okay, call it my bot or just my n8n bot YouTube. Oh, sorry, the username is already exist. Okay, so let me give it another name. n8n my name bot. Okay, congratulations, your bot will be find it on here. So if you go to this, you will find your own bot. Click start bot. As you can see, nothing will happen, and then you will get this API key. Just copy it and go back to n8n, paste your API key, click save, and it should be saved. Right, then you can close this, back to canvas, and they will have to modify the workflow. Just connect this to EI agent, and we will modify this to define below, because it used to be to chat triggers, but in this case we will define it. So what I want to do is I want to take this messages that coming out of Telegram and plug in it here. So I'm going to do, before I do this, let's execute. Okay, so let me just leave this as it is. Okay, so let me execute this. Oh, sorry, activate it. So I'm just execute this. Let's add the messages to my bot. Say hi. And after a while, we should see that has been executed. And now let's add our own prompt. So I'm just going to search for hi. Okay, and here you should see this text hi. Paste it here. And I will go to the memory as well, and usually it will be connected chat trigger node. Just change it to define below, and you will have to define a specific key. If you have multiple people access to your bot, you will need a key for each conversation or for each person. So what I want to do is just go to the chat and take this ID and paste it here, and it should works fine. So let's execute workflow. Let's say hi again, and everything executes successfully, and you should see hello again, how can I assist you today. So what I want to do is I want to send that messages. Search for Telegram and search for send a text message. You can send the media, location, document, etc. I'm going to send the messages. I will need the chat ID. Go back to Telegram trigger and go to the chat ID and paste it here, because we will need the chat ID, like who are we going to send the messages to, and then the text. which comes from the AI agent. Drag and drop it. If I execute step, I should receive a messages. Hello again, how can I assist you today? Just perfect. So what I want to do is I want to put this on live so that I don't have to execute every time. Now let's chat with our own agent. Hi, how are you? Hello, I'm a virtual assistant, but I'm here to help you. Okay, if I go to the database, you will see I got some roles here. Okay, so I want to interact them and see what is in the database. So what is in the database? The database current one entry, but the details are empty. The name and number field not filled. If you want, you can add the updates. Add the following. Let's say Daniel. Email is daniel@gmail.com and phone number 2222. Okay, wait for it. The entry for Daniel has been added to the database. If I refresh, we should see Daniel here. Yeah, we got Daniel. All right, let's say I want to update the name of Daniel to Mark. Update Daniel name to Mark. Just make sure it's the same name, Daniel to Mark. The name in the database with the same and phone number. Okay, let's see. If I refresh, I should see Mark instead of Daniel. And there we go. Perfect. Now, what we want to do is we want to integrate voice to our own Telegram. So instead of just sending text, we want to send the voice as well. Before we get started, I'm just going to remove OpenAI and we'll add Gemini because I don't have the API key and the credit has finished. So I'll add Gemini and you can add whatever you want. So let me execute the workflow. If I send it an audio, let me test it with messages simple first. How can I help you? It is working, but if I send an audio here, hey, we are getting an error. And the reason why is because the prompt is undefined. As you can see, this expression is undefined. If we go to text on the messages, we usually find the text here, but it does not exist. And the reason why is because we are sending a voice, not text. And we've got a voice here instead. If I click on the voice, I have the duration and I have some details about the voice. So what we want to do is we want to take the audio or the file, get it, and then transcribe it so we can get the content of the audio. That's what we're going to be doing next. I'm going to remove this and I will add a switch to switch whether we got a text or voice. If we got text, we can move on. If we got a voice, we have to do some operations. So let's search for switch. This switch allows you to route between different branches. In our case, we got two branches, and for each branch, we can set up a condition of each one. So the first one is voice. We'll drag and drop voice. All I have to do is just check if this voice exists. That's all. And make sure you select object and it is exist. The reason why it is an object, it's because there is data inside of it. Okay. If it is just a normal text like this one, you can just select text or number. Let's rename the output and let's call it voice. This is a voice branch. Okay. The next branch, which is text. But before we add it, let me just, okay, so let me add text, say hi. And here you will see that this voice did not routes to it because it's not a voice, but instead we got text. So we'll add another routing rule, and I'm going to drag and drop the text, and in our case it is a string, and then exists. Let's rename it to text. Okay, now we are routing between text and voice. Let me add this here. Right, so if it is a text, we can just go to the AI agent normally. If it is a voice, we will need to do extra stuff. Go to Telegram, go to get a file, and here all you need to do is get the file ID. So to get the file ID, let me execute this again because we don't have it. Yes, let me execute it. Let me send it an audio. Hey, this is an audio. Okay, so let me connect it again. This is just a way to debug stuff so we understand what's going on. So I will need the file ID, and here we got a voice, and inside of the voice we got file ID. Drag and drop it, execute, and then you will see we got binary data, which is a voice. Let's check it. Click this audio, and hey, this is an audio. It's just my audio. Okay, next we will transcribe it. You can use any model you want. We'll use Gemini and select transcribe recording. Select the model, light preview, and here you can either choose a URL or a binary. In our case, it's a binary. And one thing to just make sure what you have here in the input data field is the same as this orange heads title here. Just make sure they are the same. Otherwise, you will get an error. Execute step. And here you will see on text, hi, this is scenario. Yeah, I said audio, but it's okay. Okay. What I want to do next is I want to take the content of the audio that we have just transcribed and give it to the AI agent. So I'm going to do this. However, all we got is text, which is from this text branch. But in our case, we have a file, so we have to use the text from the transcribe audio. So what I want to do is I want to hit enter, and then I will add the next option. Go to transcribe recording, and here we have a text, so we'll drag and drop it. So here we got two options. If there is a text, we'll use text. If it does not, that means it's an audio, and we'll go to the transcribe recording and get the text. Okay, so we got two options. Okay, so let me just test it out now. So let's say hi. Didn't execute it, sorry. Hi, all right. Now we got how I can help you. Okay, let's execute it again. Let's send it audio. Hey, how are you doing? And here we are transcribing the recording. We are giving it to AI agent, and we have sent the message back. I'm doing great, thank you. How can I assist you today? Perfect. So we can now just play around with our own agent. Remember that we have connected to this database. So let's put it on live, activate it, and let's play with it. Hey, what's in the database? I can help you retrieve information from database. However, to do that, I need some specific conditions such as name, email, and number. Okay, so we don't have any data, so let's add it. Add the following to the database. Name is Michael, Gmail is michaelgmail.com, and phone number is 010101. We wait for it. And here we go. I have successfully added Michael with the email and the phone number to the database. Let's check the database. So we got the data here. If you are getting in issues, you can just go to execution, and here you will see all your live execution. This is, where is it? 31. I think it's this one. This is the most recent one. And let me just go. And as you can see, we have, it did execute this where it has inserted the data, which is Michael 11. What we are going to discuss next is RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation. So think of it like, instead of, let's say we have a bunch of documents, a bunch of PDFs, and we want our AI to have access to it. So instead of every time we're asking a question, we give it access to the entire database, which is very expensive and probably it won't work because ChatGPT has a specific content of has a specific size of prompt that you cannot exceed. So what we do instead is we store our data into something called vector database. So in a simple chatbot, all we do is a user give us a prompt and the AI generate text from that prompt and we got the output. So no data, nothing at all, just from its knowledge. However, let's say we want to give it access to our data. So the process is very easy. What we do first is we collect all our documents that we want the large language model to have access to. Okay, we split them into chunks. Think of it, let's say you have a document with thousands of pages. Think of a chunk as a page. Okay, so we just transform them or split them into chunks. Okay, and each chunk is basically page. You could specify paragraph, anything you want. And then we take each chunk, we transform it into vector database using embedding approach, which is we take the text, we transform into number, vector like this, and we store them in the database. We do this for the second chunk, third chunk, and we store everything. We store these vectors into a database, which called vector database. We just store them, okay? So let's say a user asked a question, okay? Let's say he asked, what is our current profit? What we do is we take that question, what is the current profit, and we use a method called retrieval, where we take the user query and we try to get the most similar chunk that is corresponding to user query. That's called retrieval. So what we do is we take the user prompt, we transform it into a vector as well, and then we calculate the similarity between the query and all the text or all the chunks that exist. So we just take the vector of the prompt, okay, and we calculate the similarity with all the vectors. And the most similar ones, we are getting their text and we just combine it with the user prompt and then we give it to AI to generate text. That's what RAG is. Alright, so let's get started and build our first RAG workflow. Let's add the first step. I will add n8n form where I can upload a PDF, give it a title, PDF loader, write a description, and we'll add a file as a field name, and the element type, it is a file, and accepted file type will only accept PDF, and then the required field. Let's execute the workflow. I have this paper from NVIDIA. We are going to upload it. Okay, so it's best way to test your RAG is on research paper. Right now the form submitted. If I inspect it, I should see the file and the size. And here's the file. It's very large. Okay, next I will read the file and extract the information. Search for extract and select this one. It will convert the binary into a JSON. and here we have PDF. And like I said before, make sure the input binary matches your binary. It's a file, so we'll make sure it's a file here. So let me execute this and see what's happened. All right, and here we go. You will see that we have a bunch of text here, right? So I'm going to leave it here. Okay. Next, what I want to do is I want only to read the content. Okay, as you can see, we have a bunch of data, right? So we want to make sure we add everything into a single string instead of this nested JSON file. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click edit. So we'll create a field, and let's call it text. Okay, there's a string. So what we'll do is I will try to join all this information into a single text. So we'll say the author is authors are. So we'll drag and drop the authors here. Dots, and I will say the creator is this one, drag and drop it. So we can add all this, so I'll just ignore them. I will only add the most important one, title of the paper. Okay, and here we can add also the metadata. I will leave it as it is, and here is the text, which is the entire content of all this PDF content of the paper. So we'll drag, drop the text. Okay, perfect. Here we will have everything in a single text, just like here. If we come here to our charts here, you will see that we got document. Now we need to transform it into chunks. Okay, so we have this bunch of text. What I want to do is transform it into chunks. So we already have everything set up for us on n8n. Just go to EI, scroll down to other nodes, and here you will see we have vector store. And then I will click on this simple vector store. You can use any database. In our case, I will use only the memory. Okay, but you can feel free to use Pincon or wherever. The difference is this one, if I just refresh, the data will be lost, but this one will be permanent there. Okay, but you will have to set up the API key. So we'll just use this one. And here we have a lot of actions. We can add document to vector store. We can retrieve. So we'll add document to vector store, and here we can configure it. So here we have a memory key. Let me just leave it as this one. Okay, embedding batch size, which is the number of documents you embedding in a single batch. Okay, so you will see it is required an embedding document. Okay, so we can use any modules. Remember the embedding, which means turn these chunks into a vector. So you can use any model you want. I'll use Gemini, and we have a lot of models, text embeddings. I'll leave this one. Okay, and here we will need document loader. So this will perform all these steps for us. Okay, so we don't have to do it manually. So we can choose the method to split the text. So this one will split every 100 characters. Okay, with 1,000 characters with 200 character overlap, or we can set up our own costume. Okay, and here you will have to add your own text splitter. In my case, I will just leave it as simple, and here we'll load all the input data from the text. Okay, perfect. So this will do the embedding and just create a database for us. Okay, so let me run it. Okay, so we will see that we have 48 items, which means 48 chunks, and each one has its own vector. So this is, for example, an example item. So So this is the first item. The authors are this one. Okay. Again, the way we split this is depend on here, which split every 1,000 characters. So this is 1,000 character. Okay. So now we have created the database. We got the content. We do all the splitting and all the necessary operation and process, and we store everything on our database. What we want to do next is we want to retrieve. So I will create another workflow. Let's use chat, and here we can actually chat with our own document. Okay, let me take it here, and I will make sure this one is here because we're gonna need it. So let me ask you a simple question. What are the authors? Okay, so I'm just gonna leave it here. So what I want to do is I want to retrieve. So we'll click this plus, go to EI, and we are going to go to vector store, simple vector, and here we'll retrieve document for chain. Okay. Now we'll select get rank document from vector store, and here, so let's call it retrieval. Just like here, once we ask question, we need a retriever, and the retriever needs the prompts of the user, so sort of something to search for in our document. And we will leave this, think of this as which database, so this one is by default, we will leave it. Here we will need the prompt, so I will just take the prompt, like my question. Okay, and here is the limit, which means how many chunks or how many documents that we want to get. Okay, so this one will output the documents or chunks with each one with its vector with its score. Okay, so the limits will tell us, hey, get us the first or the top 5 or the top 4, okay, the largest score. So if I execute this, sorry, I need the embedding, so I will just connect to it, this one, okay, without needing to do it again. So let me execute this. Alright, so we got something. Let me check this out. And here you will see that we got 4 items. Okay, so we got the first item, which is the authors are, okay, and the second items as well. Okay, so this is the first item, page content, this is the second item, third item, and the fourth. Okay, so this is the top, the highest top document that scores the best according to the query. Next, as you can see here, we have 4 items. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to aggregate these 4 items into a single item, because we want it to give it to the AI 1 times. Here, if I leave it as 4 items, it will execute 4 times. Okay, so I don't want that to happen. Instead, we want to concatenate all the chunks that we got into a single prompt. Okay, so I will use aggregate, combine a field from many items into a list, and here you will select the item, which is the item that repeats itself. If I go to JSON, right, you will see that we have this page content repeated many times, so I just want to combine it into a single field. Okay, we can rename it, or I can leave it as page content, and here we got all the content. All right, now I will edit it just to make it on a single string. Okay, so we'll call it retrieval content. You will see that it is a list, then the next one, so I just want to make sure that all of it are, so just drag and drop this one here, but as you can see, it is an array. So what I want to do is I want to add 2 quotes and then click dot concat. Okay, so this function concat will take all the list and concat them into a single item. So I'll just copy this and I will paste it inside, and there we go. You will see all the items combined into a single string. If I execute it, I should get everything in a single string. We call it set content into one item. Okay, and now we are ready to give it to a large language model. It has all the context and everything. So we'll go to AI agent, or we can use just a message model if you don't want any action. But anyway, I will leave it like it's an AI agent. And here the prompt, we will need the user prompt plus the retrieval data. So this is the retrieval data, and the prompt is from this chat. So we'll say retrieval data, retrieval documents. Okay, and I will go to see content and I will drag and drop this. Okay, next user question is, and then I will just drag and drop the user question. Perfect. Before I execute this, I can set up a system instructions that instructs the model to behave the way you want. So I can just add an option and I will click system messages. Here I can instruct the model. So we'll say you are a helpful assistant. Your job is to answer the user question based on the provided document content. That's it. Okay, so I'll need the chat model. Okay, so we'll add a Gemini. We'll select flashlights, and here I will add the memory, simple memory, and here I will need sort of a key. So we can say define below, go to this one, and I can just drag and drop this session ID of the chat. Okay, we will later on add a Telegram, then we'll add the chat ID of the conversation of Telegram, just like we did before. Oh, right, so on the tools I will just leave it as it is. So let me ask the question. Let's say, what are the authors of the paper? So if we go to the paper, usually the authors on the top, we have all these authors. Okay, so let's just compare them. So this question. Now what is retrieval? The author of the paper are Jin Yu Chen, Wen Kin He, and all these names, which basically the same. Perfect. Let me ask it if it can give me the GitHub source code. Give me the source code of the source code implementation. Or just give me the of the paper. I'm sorry, but I cannot provide it. GitHub implementation as the information is not available. So if we go to documents and see the content, let me just search if there's GitHub. There isn't. But anyway, so let's just, we can upload as many documents as we want. Let me just ask another question. Say summarize the paper, please. And here we got a bunch of summarization. The paper introduced DC Video Gen, a post-training framework designed to accelerate video diffusion modules. It achieved this by combining deep compression, video encoder, etc. So this is how a RAG works. First things is that we try to store the document in a vector database by embedding it. Okay, that's what happened here behind the scene. Then we can ask questions, and we can just use that question to retrieve the related paragraphs or chunks from the document that we can then combine with the user prompt to answer our question, just like what we have done here. So let's finish with final project. We are going to use the previous workflow, which is Retreival Augmented Generation, to deploy it on Telegram, where we will upload document from there, and we can chat from there, send voice messages, and get instant answer based on our document that we have uploaded. So I will change this a little bit. So here, instead of on-form submission, I will add Telegram. So just add node, Telegram, and here on message. Okay. So again, on the Telegram, we've got three options right now. We have either the voice, text, and the new one is document. If we upload a document, so let me show you. Okay, so let me just remove this, execute the workflow. So let's go to the bot. Let's upload the document. And now we should see that we have document here. It's not voice, it's not text, it's document. So we'll just paste this here. Next, we will create a switch to route it between input type. So now we have document, and you can see that document is an object because it has content inside. So we can just go to object and exist. We can just rename the output. Let's call it document. Okay. I will add the next, the second routing, which is, we'll copy the same, but instead of document here, it will be voice. Just like when we send the voice, go to object, exist, rename, call it voice, add another routing. Sorry, I will add document here, but instead of document, text, and if you remember, the text was string. Exist as well. Let's call it text. Okay, now we'll switch between three different options. Let's execute it. Okay, so the issue is that I have to open this and close it. I'm not sure exactly why this is happening every time. But anyway, so let's send messages. Execute it. You should see it is in text. If I send audio, we should get the audio. Okay. All right. So if it is a document or voice, we have to download the file. Just like before, go to document, go to Telegram, and get file. Let's call it get document, and the file ID, I will choose it on switch instead. So let me execute this. Okay. Some random file ID while we're executing it. Okay, now we should add it with our own file ID. Okay, right click execute. So I will do the same with the voice this time. Okay, voice, but instead of document there is a voice. So let's test it. Yeah, we got the voice. Perfect. Next, I will transcribe the voice. Go to Gemini and select transcribe recording and choose any model. We'll choose Gemini 2.5 and here binary, and they can just leave it as data. Just make sure they have the same name. And I didn't say anything, so the content should be empty. Yeah. Okay, so now I can just connect these documents to extract from file, as it will extract document. But one thing that I want to mention is the output. So let me just make sure it is they have the same name, which is file. Okay, so execute it. Alright, so let's name it data. And here we can actually add all our database, the vector, and then we'll create a new database. Let's call it Telegram database. Okay, you just need to type it here and click create key, and it will be created automatically. And I will go to retrieval and I will change database as well to Telegram database. Okay, and here on the limit I will make sure it's 4 for better accuracy. Okay. Okay. So let me set up the content. Let's add the content. Here we go. Now what I want to do is I want to send the messages saying, hey, your document has been added to the database. So I will add set field, this edit, and I will set a variable. I will call it output. And the reason why we have to set it, I mean, usually we can just send a message directly, hard code down the message, but we want to make it dynamic and variables because we will need it later. So we'll just say set the embedding success response. The output will say your document has been saved in the database. Alright. So let me just clean this. Alright, so we'll send a message, Telegram. I'll send a text message. On the chat ID, I will go to Telegram because this is where all the chat configuration and details. And the text, I will just simply go to set the embedding success response, and I will just drag and drop the output. And I should see the response, but as you can see, I got many response. And the reason why, if you remember, when we created this workflow, it will be output the number of chunks or the number of document that has been added. So what I want to do is I just want to create all this into a single content. So I'll just drag and drop this. Call it aggregate embedding data. Now it will be only one item. We'll see that it's only one item. Right. Next, we are going to ask questions and get the response from the retrieval. So I will just take this one here, and I will also take this one here. Okay, so we got two options. Either we get the query from text or from the transcribe coding. So what I'm going to do in this case, so because we don't want it to repeat, like we don't want to take this for transcribe audio and create another one for text, I will simply create this edit fields, and I will call it set the query, and I will call it query. Okay, so I have two options. Okay, so let me just execute it first, and I will send the text so you can see. Okay, now I will add the query, so I can just add text here. But sometimes it might not be text, and instead it will be from the transcribe recording. So I will connect it to it as well. This is very nice. Alright, I'll take this one here, and I'll leave this one here. So now we combine both options into a single variable that we can then use just here without any issue. Okay, so I'll go to retrieval, and here I will change the prompt into the query. Okay, so I will set the second options, which is from transcribe recording. So let's execute this, and let me go and send an audio. This is an audio. Okay, so you will see that we got an issue, so just leave it because the query is empty. So I will go to transcribe coding, and I will take the text, and I will just leave it like this. So whether we got text from text or voice, both are valid for us. Execute it. If I go, I should see the query decisions, which is from the recording. And we got an issue here in the memory. Let me rename this, call it AI agent response. Okay, click execute previous node. Alright, so we are getting the data. Here we have an issue with the user prompt, and again, the user prompt, it is from the query. Okay, so this is why we use the set field. So I will go to this one, click define below, and I will go to mapping, and I will go to set query, and I will just drag. Oh, sorry, this is for the memory. So here I will drop the chat ID instead, and I will go to the AI agent. And here I can just drag and drop the query. Okay. Alright, so let's execute. Hopefully it's working. What is the name of the person? Okay, so we got the name of the person is n8n, which is the same name that I put on the CV. Okay, so next we are going to send a message. So I'm going to just put here. So as you can see, this one has output, name, and also this one has output, so this should be fine for us. We got the name of the person. Okay, so let's execute it. Let's ask again. The name of the person is Abdush. Let me add it live so we don't have to execute it. Now I will send a voice. What are the skill of the person? Okay, so let me go to execution, and you should see we got an issue. So the issue is here. Bad request. Okay, so you might get this issue with Telegram all the time, and if we go to can parse entities, can find the end of the entity ensuring a byte. So the issue is the text. And as you can see, the large language model uses this markdown format. So to fix this, okay, I will go to add field, and I will click on parse mode, and I will just leave it as HTML. Okay, if I try markdown, even though this is markdown, it will not work, so we'll just leave it on HTML, and we should get the response. The person's name has the following skills: language, deep learning, etc. So let's save it and let's chat with it. What are the experience of the person? If I go to my experience, you should see we got this freelance, Upwork, internship, etc. We should get the same as managers. The following work experience. Okay, posting about deep learning, freelance, Upwork, Fiverr, Medium, and we got this internship, which basically the same as we have here. Let's ask it about the project, but this time we'll ask it text what are the project he had worked for. Based on the provide document, n8n has developed physics-guided machine learning model to solve fully where-from and where the problem, developed from scratch, SaaS platform, which is what we have done here. SaaS platform, developed from scratch, in this one. So let's upload another document. I have this research paper. Okay, so it is from NVIDIA. Okay, video generation with deep learning. Okay, so I have uploaded. It might take some time. Go to execution. Okay, so we got an issue here. Execution is stopped, so let me just repeat it. Send it back again. Alright, has been sent. Your document has been saved in the database. Okay, so if I go to the paper, let me ask you a simple question. Say the author. Please list all the authors in the paper of this video gen from NVIDIA. Jet NVIDIA now. Video gen. So depend on the transcribe model that you are using. I'm using a very cheap one, so you're welcome to use the one from OpenAI. I recommend it. So we got the authors of DC video gen paper from NVIDIA are Jinu Chen, and here are all the names. So let's just verify them. Yeah, basically they're all the same. Alright, that's it for the video of today. I hope you guys find it helpful. If you do, please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. If you got any question, leave them below. For all the workflows that we have created on this video, I will leave a link in the description below where you can just download them and use them right away. I hope you enjoy it and see you in another video.